They tried to break you. Life tested every corner of your spirit. Every loss, every sleepless night, every moment of doubt, they were all shaping something deeper inside you. You didn't just survive, you passed. And now, it's time to step into the truth few ever see. In this moment, I want to share with you secrets hidden in plain sight. Secrets that the Shaolin masters have preserved for centuries. Lessons about mastering your mind, your body, and your life. We will explore why presence matters more than ambition, why patience carries the weight of true power, and how your deepest struggles are actually gateways to freedom. Today, you will learn how small, deliberate actions, repeated with intention, can transform your inner world and ripple outward to shape the life you were meant to live. You will see why guarding your words and observing your thoughts isn't discipline, it's survival. You will discover the quiet ways energy flows through the body, through your choices, and how to turn even fear into a teacher. These aren't common truths. These are the lessons passed down by those who walked the path long before us, who faced darkness and came back with clarity, courage, and balance. By the end of this video, you will understand why everything you endured was preparation for this moment, why every challenge you overcame has made you ready to see the world differently. The door to mastery is open, but only for those willing to step through with presence, patience, and intention. Welcome to Shaolin Soulfire. Subscribe now and join the path that transforms trials into power, chaos into clarity, and life into something sacred. Stay with me until the end, because what you are about to learn may change everything you thought you knew. Every breath you take is a choice, though most pass unnoticed. Life moves quickly, but in the quiet spaces between moments, true mastery begins. The Shaolin masters teach that presence is not something you achieve. It is something you return to over and over, like a river flowing back to its source. When you walk, when you eat, when you simply sit, each action carries power if you are fully aware. The body remembers what the mind notices. A step taken without thought is lost. A thought left unchecked drifts into chaos. But when attention rests fully on the now, every movement becomes deliberate, every decision anchored in clarity, every breath a guide to balance. Most struggles do not come from external forces. They are born from the mind scattered across past regrets and future anxieties. You chase shadows and stumble over illusions, thinking the world conspires against you, when the real battle is inside. Your attention, divided and restless, becomes the unseen obstacle. Shaolin teachings show that when the mind is centered, when awareness permeates action, the world stops being a torrent and becomes a mirror, reflecting your true state of being. Consider this: a warrior does not wield the sword blindly, but with complete presence. Every swing, every stance, every motion is conscious. This is not only combat, it is life. Awareness turns the ordinary into a practice, and practice transforms life into mastery. Even the smallest acts, a touch, a word, a glance, carry weight when guided by full attention. Presence is the foundation. It is where intention takes root, where clarity grows, where the restless mind finally learns to listen. Without it, effort is scattered, and even the strongest resolve falters. With it, every moment becomes a teacher, every breath a bridge between what is and what can be. And the path begins here, in the quiet commitment to simply be, fully and completely in the moment that is now. The body is not separate from the mind. It is the instrument through which the mind expresses itself. In Shaolin tradition, physical training is never just about muscle or power. Every movement, every stance, every controlled breath is a lesson in self-mastery. Strength without awareness is fragile. Discipline without feeling is empty. The real purpose lies beneath the surface, in the quiet shaping of inner control. When a student stands in perfect posture, feet rooted, spine aligned, and breath steady, the mind begins to mirror that order. Movement becomes meditation. A punch delivered with calm focus is not violence. It is presence made visible. The repetition of simple, consistent rituals, the bow, the stretch, the slow rotation of the arms, anchors thought and steadies emotion. Each motion trains more than the body. It teaches the mind to remain grounded amidst chaos. This is why Shaolin monks move with such precision. The rhythm of breath and motion creates a feedback loop. The body influences the mind, and the mind directs the body. Anxiety loses its grip, anger softens, and clarity sharpens. A student may come to the training hall burdened by frustration, doubt, or fear, yet through posture and discipline, those clouds begin to settle. The heart slows, the mind aligns, and understanding emerges not from thinking but from doing. Bodily discipline is a mirror. It reflects patience, resilience, and balance back to the practitioner. Every drop of sweat is a silent lesson. Every ache a reminder that control must be earned, not demanded. Over time, the body becomes a sanctuary of focus, a temple in which the mind can rest. Strength is no longer measured in force, but in steadiness of spirit, clarity of thought, and the ability to remain unmoved in the midst of turbulence. The path of mastery flows through the body first, then reaches the mind. To train the body is to train the self, to cultivate patience, resilience, and the quiet power that governs every action. The mind is a garden, and every thought is a seed. Some seeds bear clarity and strength, while others grow wild, tangled, and invasive. When left unchecked, thoughts spiral into chaos, shaping perception and action without restraint. Anger blooms where patience could grow. Fear whispers where courage might have taken root. The world outside is never the source of turmoil. It is the reflection of the inner mind. Shaolin masters understood this centuries ago. They did not seek to banish thoughts, but to observe them. Meditation became the path, a quiet space where the mind could be seen clearly, without judgment or attachment. Sitting in stillness, breathing with intention, a student learns to watch thoughts rise and fall like clouds in the sky. None are clung to, none are feared. In the act of observing, power is reclaimed. The mind ceases to be a runaway horse and becomes a steady guide. Reflection, too, is a tool of mastery. After action, after emotion, the Shaolin practice teaches to pause and examine the mind's response. What drove the decision? Was it reaction born of habit or response born of awareness? Most people never notice the difference. They move as if carried by waves of impulse, never realizing that true control lies not in suppressing thought, but in choosing how to act upon it. Through meditation and reflection, the space between stimulus and action grows. In that space, mastery emerges. Anger no longer dictates speech. Fear no longer dictates choice. Clarity replaces instinctive reaction. Slowly, life is shaped not by the chaos of wandering thoughts, but by deliberate, conscious response. In time, the mind becomes both sanctuary and compass. The student learns to hold stillness amid movement and stillness amid the storm. Awareness becomes a shield, and every thought, once wild, becomes a tool for clarity and freedom. Every word is a spark. It can ignite understanding, or it can burn bridges that can never be rebuilt. Shaolin masters teach that speech is not merely a way to communicate, it is a reflection of the mind, a measure of inner discipline, and a tool of transformation. Words carry energy. They shape perception, influence emotion, and leave traces that linger long after they are spoken. Mindful speech begins with awareness. Silence is not the goal, but careful intention is. Before a word is released, the mind must pause. Is this necessary? Is this kind? Does this serve clarity? The Shaolin approach trains the practitioner to measure every sound against the stillness of their inner state. A word spoken in haste reflects chaos. A word spoken with awareness mirrors balance. Consider how easily conflict escalates through thoughtless speech. One sharp phrase can awaken anger. One careless remark can plant doubt. Yet when speech is guided by presence and clarity, it becomes a bridge instead of a blade. Speaking carefully protects the mind from the storm it can otherwise create. It shields the speaker from unnecessary distraction, regret, and tension, and preserves the quiet within. Respect flows naturally from this practice. People sense the discipline behind measured words, the weight of intention behind calm expression. They respond with trust, attention, and harmony. Even in disagreement, the voice guided by presence holds power without violence. The mastery is subtle. The mind speaks through words, but it is never enslaved by them. The Shaolin path reminds us that mastery of speech is mastery of self. Every word is a choice, every phrase a reflection of inner order. The true power is not in silence, but in the ability to speak with precision, to release energy wisely, and to leave the world a little steadier than before. Emotions are rivers, flowing beneath the surface of every thought and action. Unseen, unchecked, they can sweep a person away. Anger, fear, desire, they are not enemies, but raw energy, waiting to be understood. Shaolin wisdom teaches that mastery begins not by denying emotion, but by transforming it. The same force that enslaves can also elevate. The first step is observation. When anger rises or fear whispers, the mind steps back and watches. There is no need to act immediately. There is no need to push it away. Simply noticing the energy, tracing its source, and feeling its presence allows it to shift naturally. A wave of fear becomes a guide, pointing to what matters. A surge of desire becomes motivation, channeled through clarity instead of impulse. Breath is the anchor. Deep, steady inhalations and exhalations connect the body to the mind, creating space between impulse and action. In this space, insight grows. The emotional energy that once clouded judgment now fuels understanding. Anger sharpens awareness, fear refines caution, and desire ignites disciplined drive. Each emotion, once mastered, becomes a tool rather than a trap. Even small practices matter. Pausing before speaking, taking a breath before reacting, sitting quietly to observe internal turbulence, these moments accumulate. Over time, the mind learns to ride the currents of emotion rather than being swept away. The body and breath become instruments of calm, shaping the raw force into steady, directed energy. Through this discipline, the inner landscape transforms. Life no longer feels like a storm to endure, but a current to navigate. Fear and anger are no longer chains, they are teachers. Desire is no longer a distraction, it is a compass. The path of mastery is not the absence of emotion, it is the conscious shaping of it, turning every surge of energy into clarity, courage, and strength. Time moves, whether we notice it or not. Every second carries a lesson, yet most people race past it, chasing outcomes that cannot be forced. Shaolin wisdom teaches that rushing is the sign of an unmastered mind. True power does not hurry. It waits, observes, and moves with intention. Impulse leads to mistakes, while patience reveals the paths hidden to those in haste. Consider the craftsman shaping wood or the archer drawing a bow. Every motion is measured. Every pause is purposeful. The master knows that speed without awareness invites error, while deliberate action, guided by careful observation, achieves what impatience never could. Life unfolds the same way. Waiting does not mean inaction. It means aligning yourself with the moment, understanding the currents beneath, and choosing the right instant to move. Observation is the tool of patience. By watching situations, by listening before responding, by feeling the subtle rhythms of people, events, and even one's own mind, clarity emerges. The unmastered mind reacts to urgency, while the disciplined mind acts at the point where effort and timing converge. That is where influence and true impact are born. Patience is more than restraint. It is power tempered by understanding. Long-term harmony, whether within the self or with the world, arises not from force, but from timing. Decisions made in calm observation carry weight. Actions born of thoughtless haste crumble. Every great achievement in history, every life lived with balance, was built on patience applied with precision. The Shaolin path reminds us that rushing steals wisdom. Waiting, observing, and acting deliberately are not signs of weakness, they are marks of mastery. Those who learn to move in harmony with time discover strength that endures, clarity that guides, and peace that outlasts the storms of impulsive living. Darkness is not the enemy. It is a part of the self, often hidden, often feared. Shaolin and ancient spiritual traditions teach that mastery is not found by denying the shadow, but by facing it with honesty. Fear, greed, doubt, these are not flaws to erase, but energies to understand and transform. When ignored, they control the mind. When recognized, they become guides. The first step is acknowledgement. Notice the moments when fear tightens the chest, when desire clouds judgment, when doubt whispers falsehoods. Observe without judgment. As a witness, this is not weakness, this is clarity. Every shadow carries information about the mind and its tendencies. By recognizing it, a student gains insight into the roots of behavior, the hidden patterns that shape choice. Integration is the next step. Simple exercises cultivate this awareness, journaling the feelings that arise in challenge, sitting quietly and naming each emotion, or tracing the source of a recurring thought or impulse. The goal is not to eliminate these traits, but to meet them consciously. By acknowledging their presence, the mind can choose whether to act from them or rise above them. Reflection transforms energy. A moment of greed can become motivation for disciplined achievement. A surge of fear can sharpen attention and deepen caution. Doubt can ignite inquiry and self-improvement. The shadow once feared becomes a teacher, offering lessons that the light alone cannot provide. Mastery is born in this dialogue with the self. It is the courage to look inward, to recognize all facets of being, and to turn even darkness into guidance. The path is not in fleeing from what is uncomfortable, but in bringing it into awareness, holding it gently, and choosing response over reaction. In this way, the mind learns balance, the spirit gains resilience, and the self moves toward true freedom. Every small action carries weight when performed with awareness. Lighting incense, bowing, chanting, or moving with intention may seem simple, even ordinary, but in Shaolin tradition, these acts are far from trivial. They are anchors for the mind, bridges between thought and reality, and mirrors of inner focus. Each repetition cultivates presence, reminding the practitioner that mastery is built in the small, deliberate choices made every day. Consistency is the quiet force behind transformation. A single bow, a single breath taken with full attention may feel fleeting, but repeated, these micro practices shape the nervous system, strengthen discipline, and create a rhythm that the mind begins to follow naturally. Over weeks, months, and years, what once required effort becomes instinct. Life itself begins to shift, not through force, but through the accumulated energy of mindful action. These practices are not rituals of superstition, they are exercises in alignment. The body, mind, and energy converge. When movement is conscious and intention is clear, even something as simple as a slow, measured breath connects the physical to the mental, the internal to the external. Energy, once scattered by distraction or haste, finds its path. The heart calms, the mind steadies, and clarity rises. Micro practices train more than skill, they train perception. They teach the practitioner to notice subtleties, to act from a place of balance, and to respond rather than react. Over time, the discipline of small acts shapes the larger patterns of life, relationships, decisions, and character. Mastery is quiet, often invisible. It grows in the repeated alignment of energy, the patient return to presence, and the conscious shaping of each moment. Through these deliberate acts, the ordinary becomes sacred, and the self is refined, not by magic, but by disciplined attention and steady intention. Wisdom rarely shouts. It whispers. It is felt in the stillness of a temple, seen in the measured steps of a master, and understood in the quiet reflection that follows experience. Shaolin and ancient traditions have always held that true understanding cannot be learned from books alone. It is absorbed, not taught, discovered, not explained. Observation is the first teacher. Watching the movements of a master, the patience in a seasoned practitioner, the rhythm in daily rituals, these reveal lessons that words cannot capture. Every gesture, every choice carries meaning. The mind begins to internalize discipline not by memorizing rules, but by noticing cause and effect, intention and outcome, subtlety and balance. Experience deepens this knowledge. Trials, successes, and even failures become the medium through which understanding grows. Sitting quietly after a mistake, reflecting on why the mind reacted, why the body moved as it did, this is where learning takes root. Intellectual comprehension may give you answers, but lived experience shows their truth. The path demands more than observation. It demands embodiment, acting with awareness, reflecting on each choice, and returning to presence consistently turns principle into habit. Speaking with care, moving with intent, cultivating patience, and facing fear are not performances. They are daily exercises in becoming a living example. In time, the practice becomes inseparable from the person. The lessons once observed in others now emerge naturally from within. Life itself becomes a classroom, and every moment a test of integrity and presence. True wisdom is silent, persistent, and visible only in action. To follow this path is to choose daily reflection over fleeting knowledge, to live the teaching rather than merely understand it, and to allow each day to reveal deeper layers of mastery, discipline, and insight. Freedom is not given, it is earned quietly within the mind and the body. Shaolin teachings remind us that no praise, no recognition, no external reward can replace the power of self-mastery. True liberation arises when thought, word, and action move in harmony, when the inner world is ordered and undisturbed by the chaos of approval or opinion. Consider the simplest choices: speaking truth when silence would be easier, acting with patience when anger calls, following intention when desire tempts. Each moment of alignment builds integrity. Each act of discipline strengthens the unseen foundation upon which freedom rests. The world may try to pull attention outward toward accolades, comparisons, and fleeting status, but the unmastered mind remains tethered to what it cannot control. The mastered mind turns inward, where real sovereignty resides. This alignment is not occasional, it is consistent. Thought shapes intention, words reflect understanding, actions carry the weight of both. When one falters, the other falters too. By cultivating consistency, the practitioner weaves a seamless pattern of being, a quiet strength that no external force can shake. Yet mastery is not a point to reach. It is a journey, a lifelong practice of returning to presence, observing impulses, and refining the self. There is no final summit, no perfect moment. Each day offers new challenges, new tests of patience, courage, and clarity. The path itself is the teacher. Progress is measured not in accolades, but in the steadiness of mind, the calmness of heart, and the integrity of choice. In embracing this, freedom becomes natural. It is not taken from the world, it emerges from within. The one who masters themselves moves through life with clarity, resilience, and quiet power. The journey never ends, and in that endless practice lies the truest expression of liberty. You have walked through trials, faced the turbulence of mind and heart, and emerged ready to understand truths that often remain hidden. Awareness anchors you in the present. Discipline shapes the body and mind. Patience teaches timing. Shadow integration transforms fear and desire into insight. Mindful rituals connect intention with action. Together, these practices create a path to transformation that is both quiet and profound. You are passed, not in triumph over others, but in readiness, ready to receive and embody the deeper wisdom life has been guiding you toward. The world may still feel chaotic, but within you, clarity now has a place to grow. Live deliberately. Act with clarity. Honor the sacredness in every moment, from the breath you take to the choices you make. Let presence guide your steps, and let intention shape your days. If this teaching resonates, join our journey. Subscribe to Shaolin Soulfire and allow these lessons to guide your practice, your reflection, and your growth. Each day becomes an opportunity to live with mastery, patience, and awareness, and in that, peace quietly unfolds.